Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and today is kind of an exciting one for me because we are going to be using brand new Virpil controls with Microsoft Flight Simulator and determining whether there is a significant difference between that and the other products that I've used. Stick around because you might find this more interesting than you think. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, please consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future updates and future guides that will be coming down the road. Link to Patreon can be found in the description below. Okay, so first off, right out of the gate, let's talk about why am I doing this video specifically with Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, this actually applies for Microsoft Flight Simulator, X-Plane 12, 11, and P3D, whichever one you want to pick, all the way through DCS World. The reason why I'm doing this is for the past probably 2 years, guys, when you have watched any of my Microsoft Flight Simulator videos, I have probably very likely been using the Thrustmaster Warthog. Which is a hands-on throttle and stick that is found in the A10C Thunderbolt 2, or the A10 Thunderbolt 2 in general. Now, the reason why I'm pointing that out is unless I was actively doing a review on a specific flight control, I flew the Bravo and the Alpha for quite a while, and I love them. The thing is that swapping back and forth between simulators got to be a real pain in the neck, and so I sort of just drifted away from that and stuck with the Thrustmaster. But the thing is that I never really took the time to dive in deep and program the Thrustmaster because it didn't have a whole lot of the controls that I was looking for, button switches and options available to really give me what I was looking for in something like Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I found myself very commonly using keyboard controls and mouse clicks for a lot of the functionality. The other thing that really caught my attention that we're going to be talking about today is the difference in the resolution of the sensors and how much more finite control we have of the aircraft depending on what kind of products we purchase. Which brings me up to the comparison from Virpil to something like that is more designated for general aviation. As I have looked online over the years, I have been really interested in getting a high quality, high resolution sensor product. I've looked into everything from the Flight Sim Pro stuff over to Yoko. And they are just obscene in price. I mean, they're just super, super expensive. And I'm sure they're worth every dime of it. Please don't misconstrue what I'm trying to say there. But they were so far out of my budget. It's one thing to have to save and things like that, but they were just too far out. Now, Virpil, over the last couple of weeks, I've been communicating with them, and they have given me the opportunity to review some of their products. Now, their product line is very much so, in my personal opinion, aimed at combat simulation. Everything from space simulation to, I can't think of the PvP space fighter game. I can't remember the dang name of it, so forgive me, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. To Star Citizen, definitely a very big calling for that. To DCS World, again, another very significant calling for products like what Virpil offers. But you don't hear people talking about it much in the aspect of just general aviation or commercial aviation simulation. And I got to thinking about it last night where I just recently released 2 videos doing a full setup and configuration and then review of the products that were sent to me by Virpil for review. And although I enjoy them, I think they were great videos, it dawned on me that I've never really discussed why I used the Thrustmaster for Microsoft Flight Simulator and what the advantages that I found to these 2 new pieces of equipment over Thrustmaster. And I thought that, you know what, let's go ahead and dive into some of the reasons why I've made this switch and why I don't see myself really moving onward. And it's going to be far more than what you guys think. It's not just about, oh, these controllers are so nice. And no, it is not just about, because these products are given to me, I'm doing another video on it. That is not it at all. If you guys have been watching my channel for any length of time, you guys know that I have no problem shooting down product if I don't think it's good. Free, not free, does not matter. I have made plenty of, unfortunately, negative connotation videos, if you will, really not supporting a particular developer. These have really changed the way that I flew DCS World, and so I went for a flight today in Microsoft Flight Simulator with them, and I found a massive massive difference in the way I was flying, in the way that I was handling the aircraft, and the way that the aircraft was behaving, and some of the feature rich functionality to these controls that I wanted to bring to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So hopefully with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about what the advantages are here to Microsoft Flight Simulator or any of the general aviation flight simulations. Okay, so let's talk about why, for example, we're going to start with the throttle. And we're going to do a little bit of bouncing forth between the video. I've only got one camera. Unfortunately, I'm actually using my cell phone for this, so forgive the bad footage if it's not great. But I want to show you guys what the advantages that I found with this particular device are. Now, I am still using SPAD Next to handle all of my control configuration. And that's simply because SPAD Next offers more functionality than what is available in the default simulator controls. And when I say functionality, I mean, for example, let's say that, I don't know, this button, I wanted it to turn the transponder on. That functionality isn't available, I believe, by default inside of the Microsoft Flight Simulator GUI. So here's the amazing part. First off, these things have over 60,000 points of resolution of travel. And it's what that does is it greatly enhances the finite tuning that you have available in the simulator. So you can really tune that mixture or that prop or that throttle in very, very fine with these current devices here. The other thing is that I found that everything that I've ever wanted to map with inside of Microsoft Flight Simulator from a comfort standpoint, I have done with just this one device. I can literally control anything, and you guys are going to see some of that here in a minute when we go through starting up the aircraft here, what some of the advantages that I have found to this are. Now, the reason why that I'm bringing these up again for general aviation for Microsoft Flight Simulator is two-pronged. Number one, an incredibly high quality, very well built, extremely customizable, and high functionality device, or devices when you conclude the flight stick on the other side, the grip, for a very reasonable price of what a lot of this stuff costs us for general aviation. The second thing is for space savers. If you don't have a ton of space, okay, and you're very limited on the products that you can keep on your desk at any given time, and you don't have room for Bravo throttle quadrants and alpha flight controls and the Logitech Pro Flight stuff, you know, all of that stuff handled, these things, the two combined, can do just about everything we need it to do. There are so many rotaries, so many axes, so many buttons. And like, for example, through here, we can actually, these are modes. So you can actually configure all these buttons to do one thing, switch modes, and they can do something completely freaking different. And that's a real big thing for me, especially when it comes to this type of simulator, because all of the things that we're dealing with are buttons and switches, right? So today we are going to take the Mooney up using this. I'm going to show you guys how I have everything mapped currently, just to give you an idea of the customization availability. So for example, right now here we have our master battery, our alternator. Back over here, there's another red switch. I don't know how well it shows up on the camera. Let's pull that back. This is our master avionics. And I actually don't think I mapped this guy to anything. I don't think I needed to. Here we have our beacon lights, nav lights, taxi lights, landing lights, strobe lights, recog lights. Here I have my magnetos to both. So, or excuse me, that's what that is. That's my magnetos to both switch. And this is my magneto to start switch. And this releases my parking brake. Now these are momentary bidirectional. So I can actually flip this down too as well. But right now I only have functionality going forward. And that's all I've got mapped to this right now. Up here I have my speed brake for the Mooney here. It has a speed brake on it. So I've got that mapped. Actually, sorry, it's up here is where that is. And then moving the throttle back here, here's my mixture. And this little guy, oh, I bumped something. I don't think I meant to. This little guy right here is my pitch for the aircraft, for the propeller pitch. It's really convenient. It's just, I simply move this back and I'm adjusting my pitch, and I can do that while adjusting my throttle at the same time. Very, very convenient for me. Now, is it realistic? Absolutely not. But so it really depends on how far you want to go into. Do you want to just enjoy the flight and be able to have something very, very nice and very fine-tuned and customized to your liking all in one hand? I mean, honestly, the HOTAS is something that I think should be implemented in every aircraft at this point. It doesn't matter military or general aviation because it's so convenient. You never have to take your hand off the controls. Why would you not want that, right? So anyway, it really depends on what you're going for, but you can apply this to every aircraft in the simulator and really make it very, very convenient. You can even set the axis, like for using SPAD Next. This is another reason why I use it, is I have these set as a throttle with reverse. And what I've done here is you can see that I've got the detent here that stops the throttle. And then what I have to do in order to, I've set it up in SPAD Next, where if I use my finger lifts and come over that detent, I'm now in reverse thrust, full reverse. Okay, and then to come out of it, simply bring it forward, and I'm back into idle thrust. Okay, now I haven't mapped anything on the forward detent. I just left the finger gate there because I like using the finger lifts. I'm not gonna lie. These things they feel so cool. I do this all day long when I'm at work. I'm constantly playing with this thing ever since I got it. It's been a really amazing experience. And then the incredible finite control of the hand grip you guys will see later on using the CM3 base. And we're going to talk about, we're going to get the aircraft started. We're going to go for a quick flight, sort of tool around a little bit. And then I'm going to talk to you guys about why I think that you guys should make this a consideration the next time you guys go to purchase flight controls. And again, I'm just giving my advice, my opinions. Please don't take offense. I'm telling you, you must buy this. I'm not. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started with our flight here. So what I'm going to do initially, I'm going to bring this back forward, and we're going to come down over here to the aircraft so you guys can sort of see everything as best as I can. There's my battery, alternator. You can see the magneto switched over here to both. Always fun. Oh, I don't want the avionics on yet. Okay, and now we're going to pull that throttle back to just a crack here. Make sure my pitch is full. Mixture is full. Let's go ahead and crack it back just a hair. And let's give her an engine start. Engine started. Let's clear that master caution. Now we can bring our avionics on. Turn our transponder on for now. And I can even set my parking brake. All right. The only thing oh yes I did, I mapped them to the stick. And I'll show you guys where when we come in for landing. I'm going to show you guys the takeoff and a little bit of cruising around the throttle, and then when it comes to time in for the approach, I'm going to actually show you guys the flight stick in action, but we'll definitely be talking about the flight stick on the way out. To keep the camera sort of centralized, if you will, I'm going to leave track IR off for these videos. I don't want anything going around distracting anything else and making things goofy to keep everything positioned for you guys. So again, I'm going to release that parking brake. Let's power up. And just the smallest of movements, and I got a ton of RPMs out of that. The resolution and the smoothness of these. Make sure that you guys, if you guys are even remotely interested, make sure that you guys check out my videos from yesterday where I go through the entire unboxing configuration setup. So with both of these devices, you guys get to see them from the bottom with the panel removed. So you guys get a clear view of how they are built. They are full metal construction inside the boxes here. Everything is metal. For example, you set the tension on the throttles. You actually pull the base out and you set the tension with a 10mm wrench. And you set it independently, so you can have one with a higher tension than the other, however you want to set it up. It's extremely nice, extremely nicely done. And you can change out cams and adjust or change out the cams and tension springs in the flight stick. Hey, we actually get 1-1 left today. That's kind of nice. All right, so at this point here, we're going to go landing lights, strobe light. Recog light should have been on at taxi, but my bad. And like for what I'm doing here, I will say my tension is a little stiff on the throttle. So I'd probably want to pull that back just a little bit. All right, but let's go ahead and get her going here. So Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't set my barometric pressure. Oops. There we go. All right, so off we go. That airliner would not be landing on 1-1 rate. There'd just be no point for it. Airspeed alive. Now, the first thing that I noticed when I first flew with these in Microsoft Flight Simulator was how smoothly I was able to complete my rotation. It's so smooth. And wait till you guys see the footage of the grip. I'm barely moving it. Now those are all things that I can adjust. The awesome part about these particular configurations is truly their customization options. You have 4 or 5 different sets of cams. The cams are the mechanical rollers, or where the rollers roll against, I guess, if you will, on the 2 different axes, the X and Y axis, and you can adjust it for 0 detent with a lot of tension, 0 detent with almost no tension or light tension. And then you can have very specific and very easily detectable detents, center detents if you wanted. There is just a ton of customization. But what I really enjoy is the incredible finite control I have for all of the axes. And again, these are not the only controls that are capable of providing this. But when I was looking around at price points and configuration options and customization options, I really found these to be the best bang of the buck for their price region. Okay. And that's where I'm getting some of my basis from. So guys, keep that in mind, that's where I'm making my decisions from. Stand by. It's because I took my hand off the flight stick is why we're diving. I thought you guys might like to hear something. Hello. And the cool part is you can even set it up. Let's say you don't like messing with a trim hat. Okay. You could even set these up, set the tension just strong enough on the grip where the stick will stay wherever you leave it. So, where it's not wrist breaking, but in a manner that, all right, if I want to trim for this angle of nose high without using the trim wheel, now I don't know why you would do that. The trim wheel is great. But if you wanted to, you would simply put it where you want it, let go of the stick, and it will stay there and hold it. Obviously, airspeed and throttle is something you'd have to pay attention to. But again, those are all things that are controllable. I bumped my my prop there for a minute. But everything is just, it's so nice having everything at the ready. Like, for example, we should probably turn those landing lights off. We can turn the taxi light off. And the action that you're seeing in the rotation is so smooth. And it's because every single millimeter that I move the grip, the aircraft responds to accordingly. I mean, you can make the slowest of rotations, or you can make a very aggressive rotation. It really just depends on what you're doing at the time, but you have such a finite control, such a precise control, that I wanted to share this with you guys. Initially, I was just going to do my initial 2 installation configuration videos and, make sure that, you guys were aware. I was blown away when I first unboxed them and assembled everything. I was blown away when I used them in DCS World for the first time. And I was blown away when I used them here in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Everything feels much more responsive, much more accurate, much more what I was expecting. And I want you guys to remember that, again, I've been using the Thrustmaster for about 6 years. And I have said it on multiple times in this channel in comments when people have asked, if my Thrustmaster were to break today, I would turn around tomorrow and buy another one and make my wife mad. My opinion on that, unfortunately, Thrustmaster, I love you, but it has changed. I would go with these. I kind of like the way that they do their base design. So for the grip, you buy the grip separate from the base, but you only have to buy the base once. And then any other grips that come out that you want, you buy the grip and you just swap them out. And I really appreciate that process. I think that's a much better way to do it rather than having to turn around and buy full sets of flight controls for $300 to $400. You buy the base once, and then most of the grips are, $250. Now they're so expensive, but this is extremely high quality product. And you guys are just, like I said, any doubts, please watch the videos that are down in the description. There will be a link to both videos down in the description. See for yourself, guys, how these things are assembled. It's pretty outstanding. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch the camera over to the grip side so you guys can get an idea of how it works and how fine control you really have. Okay, so now we're seeing things from the grip standpoint. Look how little I am moving it in comparison to what we're getting in the aircraft. Now that's all adjustable. You have a dry clutch tensioners here that adjust the spring tension, and then these two plugs can actually adjust the tension screw on the cam. And right now I have it in a fairly light touch, as you guys can see. More like what you'd expect like in an F-16. But that's all very easily changeable with simply these two Allen wrenches. I can simply pick the one I want, adjust it by the axis if I want, and adjust the tension. And you can do that on the fly. I do that in the video that I showed where I first showed these off. So now let's go ahead and bring the aircraft in for a landing so you guys can get an idea. Let me get that out of my way. And like I have bound my flaps actually here and here. So flaps up, flaps down. Oh my God, the flaps are down. Why didn't anybody tell me that? You guys act like I'm the pilot in command here. So let's start turning back towards the airport here. Start pulling some power off. Tucson sure looks beautiful today. But every input that I put in, every single input is registered and registered smooth. There's the airport right out there. Oh, there's the auto marker. All right, inside the white arc, flaps 1. Going back to full prop, we're in pretty close. I should change my fuel tanks, but I'd have to grab the mouse to move the camera to get to them. I sort of forgot to map that, but that did just give me an idea of what to map. I did forget about that. That'll actually be really handy for this. Let's get that gear down. And here's what's weird. And I don't know if it's just a difference in the way I'm flying it or just got lucky or what. But like when I was using my Thrustmaster all the time, I found myself having to use the speed brakes on this almost on every approach. And I'm not finding that now. But everything is so smooth. It's flaps 2. And the way I've got these cams set up is for me, it's sort of like anything inside this range is very light. But if I want to start really pulling, it gets very tight on the stick. There's a lot of tension, and I actually kind of like that. And again, that's because of the cams, the specific cams that I have installed right now. I could change that. I could make it wobbly and loose as I want. Even with these heavy cams in, I could make it so the stick will just flop around like a noodle. Full flaps. Mixture back to full rich. Props back at full. Trying to pitch for 80. Let's pitch for 70 now. And I can just hold my hand there so easily. I can't describe it enough, guys. I wish that there was something better I could do to show you guys than just flying around and letting you guys see the action. These things are incredible. The experience and the smoothness and the responsiveness is so different than anything else I've ever gotten to use. And I've gotten to use a Yoko once over at a Flight Sim Expo in Las Vegas. And it was pretty awesome. And I got to use a whole bunch of different controls. And I want to make something very clear. I love my Alpha. I love my Bravo. I love a bunch of the different controls that have been sent to me to try out and use. Nothing has ever caught my attention and surprised me like these do. Microsoft Flight Simulator, you guys saw one application of it. I use them all the time in the airliners, like when I was using the Thrustmaster Warthog. The other one that I really enjoyed with this particular setup, and let me know in the comments below if you guys would like another video on that, was with the helicopters. You can, like I said, you can set the tension to a point where it's still comfortable to move it, but that when you move it, it will stay there. Okay, and so the helicopters, it's a super handy feature when you're flying a helicopter, especially if you're flying an old one that doesn't actually have trim. You could just set it and lock it in. And it takes that weight off of your wrist and your arm. So a lot of super advantages to this kind of customization. And there's so many hats on it. There's so many buttons on it. There's so many switches. Here is an analog axis. So this is great for like your Spitfire. This is actually how the wheel brake worked on Spitfire. Had a single analog brake handle that you would squeeze and then apply rudder while applying the brakes. But this could be your brake pedal. You know, if you're someone who doesn't have a lot of space, this is an amazing set. It's absolutely a phenomenal set if you are someone who's very limited on space, or if you're someone who, like me, wants a very nice, high-quality product that can be very easily customized for any simulator application. Okay, you like Star Citizen, you like, again, Elite Dangerous, that's what it's called, Elite Dangerous. You like DCS World, you like Microsoft Flight Sim, you like flying helicopters, you like flying planes. That is why I love HOTAS controls so much, because you can do all of it with them. Yeah, you know, that's part of the reason why you guys always see me removing the yoke, is because I don't like the immersion killer. You know, I get it. You look down and you see the yoke, you know you're flying a flight stick, and it takes something from it. So that's why I typically remove them, and I typically keep my camera view up above it. And then once I do that, I'm gone, guys. Give me 5 minutes into the simulator and I'm gone. Don't even care about it anymore. And I'm just enjoying the feeling of it. Like I said, I find myself just doing this all day long while I'm working, while I'm talking on the phone, whatever. I'm playing with the throttle. I'm playing with the stick. I mean, they just feel so cool, and they feel so nice around your hands. And I know the later models, I believe, have actually gone to a metal all metal construction on the frame. Everything in here, same with the throttle, is metal, guys. It is solid, freaking gorgeous, stainless steel, incredibly well crafted metal that just caught my attention. I was not expecting this. So a link to their website will be down in the description below if you guys are interested. Really give this stuff some thought, guys, if you guys enjoy this kind of stuff the way I do. Again, I hope I'm not trying to sound like I'm overselling something. That is not my goal. I'm passionate about this. I've always been passionate about this stuff, and I come from a history of barely being able to afford the gum in my pocket. So, you know, I'm a picky guy, and I'm a very critical guy when it comes to cost versus quality. I think that's somewhat why I've been so abusive to some other products, if you will, is because I'm very big on getting what you pay for, because I've been to the point where I have saved up money in my past and purchased something and had it be a piece of junk, and, you know, knowing that it's going to be another 7 to 8 months before I can afford something different that I would really enjoy. So that's why I'm so hard about this kind of stuff, and that's why I'm so passionate when I find something that I feel is truly worth the dollar. I want you guys to know that there was nothing in return from Virpil for this, guys. They're not getting kind of kickback from me. I'm not getting kickback from them. Yes, they gave me the product, but they also gave me the product to do with as I please. And they gave me full reign to say what I felt was needed to say. They made it very clear to me, say what you think your viewers need to hear. If they need to hear something's garbage, tell them it's garbage. In my previous 2 videos where I go through the assembly and the unboxing, there are a few points you guys will hear me talk about that I disliked about the products, but they were far and few between. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this little insight. I hope maybe it gave you guys something different to think about, whether it be with Virpil or anybody else, about how you can configure your simulators much more easily, and much more diverse. Anyway, as always, guys, stay safe and healthy. Thank you for all the love and support, and I'll see you in the next one.